Hey everyone, welcome back to GameSpot's coverage of E3 2017. Joining Oscar and myself is Xavier, here to talk about Mario
Hey,
plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Xavier, welcome.
thank you.
What's the reception been like? Because that was a huge surprise at Ubisoft's press conference.
It's been tremendous. We've been working on this game like in the cave for more than 3 years. We couldn't talk about the project. And then being at E3 today to talk about it with the team, the dev team as well, and to see people playing the game is just amazing.
What I love is that it's sort of two incredible franchises coming together. Did you go to Nintendo first, or did Nintendo reach out and say they wanted to work with you? How did it come about?
So we started to work on this prototype and idea, and we felt, this could work because we're big turn-based game fans, and we felt that mixing Mario and the Rabbids with a new genre, something that we didn't see in the past with Mario, would be great. So we went in Japan, and we started to talk about this. We presented the prototype. We met Mr. Miyamoto and his team, and it was incredible because we could see in their eyes as well that this was new, different. Even the prototype was quite similar in terms of the combat that we see today. Of course, the graphics and all the animation were not there, but it was really a tremendous moment. And since then, we started to work hand in hand with them.
So
How
what was?
do you-
Oh, sorry.
How do you go about trying to mix the two art styles together? Because they are so different, but then, like, I can't imagine the amount of discussions that needed to be had to try and amalgamate the two completely different art styles and also licenses together. That must have been such a nightmare trying to get that sorted, right?
So, we are big fans of Mario, obviously. So I think the first step was already to show the respect we have for Mario in terms of animation, in terms of art, also in terms of design. And that was the first step. Already to show that we know those games, we love those games, and we're able to show a prototype showing that Mario and his friends can be something that we can work with. But it was not enough because it was really clear from Nintendo's side as well that we had to be surprising. We had to add this twist. And as the Rabbids are pretty good with, crossovers. We did Rayman in the past, and they're good to, put contrast on the table. So when we started to have those ideas of, doing those combos, super effects with those weapons, and it was a bit crazy also to have a weapon in Mario's hands and Rabbit's hands, but it was this touch that was, triggering interest, and they wanted to see how far we could go. So then, in terms of animation, for example, it's really different between the two. Mario cannot stretch that much compared to the Rabbids. They're really different in terms of animation. So we were wondering if, the mix would go on and be interesting. And we're super happy with the result because we believe it really fits together well. And so far, it seems that players are really happy to see those two things together.
What I love as well is that it seems like the Rabbids are poking fun in a loving way towards Mario and, Peach. You have Rabbid Peach. How was that sort of like? Was it you guys able to sort of write a love letter to Mario in your own game?
So at the beginning, it's true that we wanted to create this contrast between the two. So even if it's Rabbid Peach, it's not just Peach in a rabbit form. We wanted to, have a personality on its own. And so there's a big part in the game where they interact together. For example, Mario plus Rabbit Mario. And Rabbit Mario is super proud of Mario, but he wants to do too much. Like he goes way too far. He wants to be like Mario, but he's not Mario, obviously. So this interaction was really a key point of the game in terms of story, but also in terms of combat. So Rabbit Mario in combat is really dangerous, even for the other heroes. He goes way too far in his skills and the way he attacks. So he's a more advanced player in Heroes. So this is something that we wanted to have as well in the combat system to be quite relevant in terms of relationship.
So what happens when when you take out a rabbit, or if they manage to take out one of your guys? I guess it's not like you're not going to introduce death, because that kind of seems doesn't seem like it would fit. It doesn't really I don't
That's
know.
true.
Yeah.
It's weird to have Mario dying, right? Like,
I mean, I
Yeah,
know
that would be
it's like,
weird.
Yeah, like one up and stuff, and like one more life, but
So we have, of course, we have a lot of rules on Mario's side. With what we discussed with Nintendo, we cannot do everything, obviously, and the rabbits are pretty much the same. We don't see normally rabbits dying. So what we decided to do anyway was linked to the storyline. When you defeat an enemy, he's not dying. He's just being teleported as a white rabbit in the hub. And that's why the hub evolves throughout the game, is as you defeat more and more enemies, they get to construct stuff in the hub. So you never kill anyone, and we just saw de-resed rabbit here. You just get teleported into the hub. And we prefer to have this fun approach, even with weapons, than going in, a very realistic mode, and that was really not the angle we wanted to go for.
yeah. So how are the Rabbids and Mario and Peach and Yoshi? How are they getting together in the story?
So basically, at the beginning of the game, they just arrived in Mushroom Kingdom because they use the washing time machine, and usually they go, in a period of time randomly. And this time they landed in the Mushroom Kingdom. Mario has no clue what a rabbit is. So when he sees Rabbid Peach and Rabbid Luigi, it's just a shock and contrast. And the rabbits, they don't really care about saving someone or the world. They just follow Mario because he's funny, and maybe it's going to be a fun adventure. And that's it. And then, of course, you'll get to unlock new heroes. So you don't get the 8 heroes at the beginning of the game. You get them as you go into the adventure. And then the rabbits start to interact way more into the adventure itself.
so what's the structure of the game? Because I gather there's a large exploration element as well, right? It's not just the strategic combat side. Like, is there a hub world, or like how do you move from level to level?
Yeah, so one thing they didn't destroy when they arrived in the game was Peach Castle. So Peach Castle and surroundings are acting as the hub of the game. So basically, you go in each world thanks to cannons that were created. And then it's a mix between exploration and combat, turn-based combat. So in exploration, you have puzzles, you have secret zones, you have things you can discover as well, sideways for new weapons, new orbs for your skill tree. And then we have, of course, the combats. So that's a big part of the concept. But we wanted to avoid having combat after combat and just feel like, doing fight over fights. And even though it's a huge part of the game, we truly wanted to have an adventure. So that's the part where you have exploration coming in. So that's pretty much the structure.
Right.
Can we talk a little bit about the little blue Roomba guy who they're following around?
Beepo. So that's the name we gave him. So this guy is a fusion between an AI and a rabbit. He's able to understand what the rabbits are saying, and even Mario.
So he's like a translator.
Yeah, he's like a translator, but he's lost. Most of the game is a bit lost. He's trying to show that he's in control, but in fact he's lost because he doesn't understand how unpredictable the rabbits can be in the end, and he doesn't understand why the world is going so crazy with the chaos, and so he's trying to act as a translator, but he's also key for the game itself because in combat he's acting as the cursor. He's helping you to give you tips at the beginning of the game. He's there to tell you pretty much what is happening around, trying to explain to the player what's happening on the screen.
So is that almost like a sort of help to the player? I mean, I was going to ask about how difficult it was to try and transport Mario into what until now is a completely new genre for him. There are probably a lot of Mario fans out there and a lot of Rabbids fans out there that might not have played these kinds of strategic games before. So is that character, is that purely
He's
to help
helping
those players out?
Yeah. It's true that it's a new type of game for potentially many Mario fans and Mario players. We wanted to have, we're a big fan of games like XCOM, like other turn-based games as well, RPGs. We have a lot of influences, but we also had a lot of ideas to bring into the mix. And we felt with Mario and the Rabbids, one thing for sure, you need to be accessible, You couldn't have walls of things that takes time, controls that could be complex as well. So we wanted to have like an experience that's really accessible, but not simple. Of course, at the beginning of the game, we're teaching you how to move, how to do action in your movement phase, attack phase, different type of weapons with your techniques, defensive ones, offensive ones. But then it starts to ramp up, and with a combo system where you can add up actions as you go into the game, it becomes something interesting where you have to make choices a lot into the combat game part. But one thing also was important was to avoid being a game where you need to think 6, 7, 8 moves ahead. That could be complicated and complex. We prefer to go for reacting every turn to what is happening. Here we see a Piranha plant. It's a mid-boss. It can burn you and you're out of cover. And maybe this was not planned, so you have to adapt the next turn and try to find a better strategy now that you're out of cover. So it's an important part to be able to react to what is happening with the tools that you have.
Yeah.
So how did you, I mean, you mentioned there the piranha plant that can burn you when you're in cover. Was that a case of, like, what came first there? Did you think of the burning element first and then think, what Mario character can we put in this? Or was it like, oh, the piranha plant is a really cool character, what ability can we try and create out of that and transplant into this world?
It's a really good question, because Piranha Plant was a big brainstorm, actually. When we started it's the first mid-boss we thought of. And, Piranha Plant in Mario World are always, throwing fire. So it came quickly into the fact that, hey, we want to have super effects. What about giving AoE type of attack to this mid-boss? That could be a good reference to what the character is. And in fact, we applied that to the whole mid-boss and bosses fights that we have in the game. So I won't spoil too much about, all the heroes and enemies we're using from Mario's world. But yes, every time we did that, we use, their specificities that we know in their games, and we apply that to the system.
So we just saw those collecting coins mid encounter. What do they do? Do they give you bonuses in this encounter, or is it just a collectible to pick up later?
Yeah, it's a collectible you have for buying weapons, basically. So when you destroy a cover, you get a coin. So it's still interesting to destroy a cover for that reason as well. When you do a golden shot, which means a huge damage output and defeat the enemy, you get golden coins as well, a huge amount of golden coins. So those are super useful for buying weapons afterwards. So if you're good in combat, you do the right decisioning and get a lot of coins, you go faster to get new weapons.
Yeah.
Is there any punishment for players? I mean, like you were saying earlier, it has to be accessible, right? So it'd be harsh to, when I think of XCOM and how hardcore that can be on like Iron Man mode, do you have to sort of rein that back in to accommodate players who might not be so familiar with this kind of genre?
So we wanted to have a game accessible for everyone. Everyone can play. And at first it gives you the basis, and it's an approachable, experience compared to other turn-based games. But then it ramps up quickly. So you need to level up your game quite fast so that you're really using those basics. But then you have to apply them to way more strategy within the game. But we felt we're pretty proud now of the evolution, because then you really use those tools, but it doesn't become more complex. It just becomes you have more decisions to take within the fights. But then we shuffle everything up, because here we see, burn covers, explosive covers, but later on you can have, indestructible covers that are really useful because you can get behind it. But then you have also other side effects like push, bounce, or ink. Ink, you cannot do any technique for one turn. Ink, you cannot attack for one turn. So it's a bit more advanced. But if you mix and match those covers together, plus the pipes, plus the enemies doing different type of attacks, plus the combo system. For example, Rabbid Peach can triple dash mid-game instead of just dashing once. So Mario can team stomp. He can jump on the head of the enemy after a team jump. Luigi can do a triple team jump, so it expands his zone even more. So you get more and more option, which is cool, but at the same time you have to make those right decisions, because the enemy are getting stronger and they have more tools as well. For example, we have a smasher type of archetype that we call. Those guys attack you as soon as you attack them, even if it's not his turn. And it teaches you that attacking is good, but sometimes maybe not the best choice. So we go progressively. And then on the side, we also have challenges. So when you finish a world, you can come back and you have some challenges. Rabbit Todd give you challenges. And they're meant to be a bit more hardcore. For example, you have to finish off 15 enemies in one round. So you need to think ahead into sort of weapons, super attacks, mix and matching those. And even at the end of the game, without spoiling too much, we have ultimate challenges that are, let's say, even higher level in terms of challenge.
We saw at the Ubisoft press conference when the game was announced, obviously you had Mr. Miyamoto come out and your creative director got very emotional. It was a really lovely moment to watch. What's that experience been like, sort of working with someone like Miyamoto?
It's been amazing. We saw many times Mr. Miyamoto and his team in Japan, obviously, to talk about the project and progression. But seeing him while we announced the game, already the emotion was high announcing the game itself. To see how people would react to the concept, react to the game genre, react to the everything about the game. It was already high in terms of emotion. And then having Mr. Miyamoto on stage, looking at Davide, the team, he knows the team, and it was a connection. We could feel it in the room. It was a tremendous, moment, amazing moment for everyone, and we could feel it inside the room. So yes, it was a very high emotion moment, and also we could, feel the love in the room itself. Just showing the gameplay, finally the gameplay, how it looks, how it plays. Explain a little bit about the basics. We knew we had the demo for E3 as well, just behind. We could have those pods, people playing it. So we're just. The dev team, of course, was crazy in Paris, in Milan, and the one in the room itself.
All right.
All right, well, Xavier, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
When can we play Mario plus Rabbids?
So end of August 29th.
It's not long to wait.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, wow, you guys must be so excited to finally have it out there.
Very excited.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And guys, for more from this year's E3, make sure you don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to GameSpot.com.